Welcome to Read Your Comics. Today I'm looking at 1963, Book 1, Mystery Incorporated. Before I get started, I want to thank all of my subscribers. And if you are new to the channel, please hit the like and subscribe and leave comments. It helps people find the channel. Today's book is another in my exploration of top sellers of 1993. This is the number 50 book of that year. 1993 was a big pivotal year of the speculator boom, kind of the peak of the mountain, I would even say. The whole industry was in a glut of Image, Valiant, Marvel, Ultraverse, Milestone. I mean, like, Dark Horse had a superhero line. Everybody was doing something. You know, most Image books of that particular year, people would say had no real substance to them. They were truly Image. They were great art, but not much else. Along comes 1963 with some industry heavyweights for putting out some of the more cerebral, the more... I hate to use the term adult or grown-up comics because it's not necessarily. This is an all-age comic, but stuff that, you know, just went a little above and beyond just your typical like monthly title from any company, really. So this is an homage to early Marvel comics. That's why it's really called 1963. It says Mystery Incorporated, like it's book one. The other books do not continue on with Mystery Incorporated. This is definitely an homage to early Marvel comics. You know, 1961 was when Fantastic Four debuted. But by 1963, Marvel was rolling. Avengers was out. Spider-Man, X-Men, all of that was, you know, rolling at that point. So I guess they took the opportunity, 1993, let's go back 30 years to 1963, and the Marvel Universe is firmly intact. Let's do something as a kind of a love letter to that. I think if you look at the cover, you can probably tell who this is supposed to be kind of nodding to. It is the Fantastic Four. And this is how they would launch it, which makes sense because what launched the Marvel Universe? The Fantastic Four. So everything about this is like little touches to the Silver Age. You have this opening ad that shows like the other books coming out in this layout that looks very much like a Marvel House ad. This Shadowline logo actually takes a little bit away from it. Shadowline is Jim Valentino's kind of corner of comics, or corner of Image Comics, I should say. And that was his branding. So, you know, you have Jim Valentino. He gets Alan Moore, Rick Veitch, Dave Gibbons, Don Simpson to come in and put this little project together. And this is definitely done very much in a Kirby style. I wouldn't say they try to like straight up emulate Kirby, but they definitely take his storytelling techniques in it. And, you know, the coloring techniques of the time and of the 60s and the language of Stan Lee, I would say. So as we go into it, some character is... did I skip a page? There's this character coming in to invade what is Mystery Incorporated headquarters that I think they call it Mystery Mile. So I believe it's underground. As we go through, he's trying to like get through their defense mechanisms. And as it goes along, we find out it's actually one of their teammates. They're just kind of running a test. This guy's name is The Planet. So he is kind of the Thing, the brutish character. The girl is named Neon Queen. She turns into neon gas, which is... You do kind of like, well, what else can that do? I mean, she turns into she has these lights. She basically chokes people out. Mr. Fantastic analog is called Crystal Man. And I can't remember his name right now. We'll catch it in a minute. The Human Torch character is more or less electricity, though. Now, your Thing character can transform back, and the dynamics of things have changed. Like, instead of these two being siblings, these two are siblings. And I think she's supposed to be about his age, maybe like a year or two older, because as it goes into, they give you like the classic, oh, remember our origin story here. And she kind of recaps how they got their powers. They went into space. It wasn't getting bombarded by cosmic rays. They found some kind of alien something or other, stepped on these tiles, and it gave them their powers. But it mentions how they were like an astronaut. What's it out here? An astronaut, a physicist, and two whiz kid college students, which would be her and the boy, the Johnny Storm-like character. It's funny, the planet character's name is Biff, which always makes me think of Back to the Future. They even hit some like of the good tropes of early FF where they're answering fan mail here. And she mentions how nobody really writes anything except how they want her to leave the group, which is terrible because that is what some stuff said about Sue in the early FF fan letters. You even got the boy reading a comic from the line in much the same way Johnny Storm was reading a comic about the Hulk in one of the early FFs. Anyway, so she kind of goes off to think about her place on the team, sees this mysterious guy walking backwards, actually, through the complex. She tries to stop him with her gas, but it almost seems like he's recovered. And then he disappears. Let's see. I feel like I keep missing pages. Then he disappeared. She goes to alert the rest of the team. This is pretty cool. He uses his like crystalline body. I guess he can like fragment himself and turn it into different shapes and stuff, and like uses this key to like key into the computer and uses his crystal, what does he call it? His crystal clairvoyance, crystal clarity to basically speak to the computer. The mystery deepens as they find footsteps and stuff. You see all this dialogue. A lot of it is kind of it's Stan Lee babble. It really is. It's fun and it's endearing, but a lot of it's like babble. So the Kid Dynamo, that's his name. It just dawned on me. I don't think they said it here. But he takes off to follow the footprints while the other three keep investigating. This is some great content. This is stuff Alan Moore would do in other things he's worked on, where he essentially creates a bullpen bulletins here. I didn't read all this time around. I don't know if I ever did. But you kind of skim it and you definitely get that like feeling of like a Silver Age book, a bulletins from a Silver Age book. As you continue to walk through the headquarters here, you find out some like other cool things. They've got this like random captive creatures that they've caught. They're like, Mystery Incorporated supercar. It's almost like a train. So they're setting off some other defense things, go off on them. Their own defense things kind of start like reacting against them, and they have to stop them. Something that causes an earthquake, and we get this right here. This is one of the other characters, which will be in, I think it's the following title after this, book 2, the Fury, who's kind of the Spider-Man-like character. And he mentions it. So it's just kind of a cool like world building moment where there's like an earthquake. It's just something that they did, and it seems like an earthquake. And he's like, I would check it out, but I'm already doing this. Cut back to them finishing up with their, having to stop their own defense mechanisms against it. I thought this was pretty cool. They have this giant robot that attacks them. And your Thing character, of course, is going to battle him for a minute. Eventually the Crystal Man is able to like kind of take control of it, and then he's operating it. And that was pretty cool. So you can see this isn't straight up Kirby like, I don't think. you've got like the panel layout, and even the panel layout isn't exactly, because Kirby would have done these in 4 panels more times than not. It definitely has that Silver Age feel to it, but it's almost late Silver Age to me. We get back to the Kid Dynamo, and he is confronting the guy who's back again, or appears to be back, and they have an interesting battle here. Got another cool fake ad. I think these shirts were legit. I mean, it is graffiti designs, but they did this ad in this 60s style too. So that's what these books are so fun, because of that. The aesthetic that they go for in the whole book all the way through. Dude shoots at him and he's like, haha, you can't shoot me. I'm just electricity. Those arrows do nothing. Oh, but it hit the water main, and if I hit the water, I'm going to short out. So I'm going to go powerless. And he's like, just what I wanted was for you to drop your powers. He's like, oh, do you think I'm defenseless? We have a gym. But he still loses. He's just a kid, which he points out there. He's like, well, you're still just a 16-year-old kid, which is funny because they said he was a college student. So he must be kind of bright if he was in college. And then he pulls out this arrow that has this like little TV thing on it. And this is one of the coolest things. It's like, he doesn't really shoot him with it. He just pulls it out. And as he charges into it, he basically gets sucked into this little TV and is turned into ones and zeros into like computer language, and is trapped inside it. And I love this panel. I love everything about this panel. I love the background has it like, receding behind him, but then him up front, and how even in the shadows, the color changes of the ones and zeros. He explains basically how he's been reduced to code on magnetic tape and is now inside this like little mini TV. And he's going to take him with him. He turns the sound off because he doesn't want to hear him yapping. Back to them. They go, Crystal Man, Mr. Fantastic, has it kind of figured out. He explains how they have something called I think they call it the maybe machine, which I would say was kind of like, the look of it was kind of like the negative zone, but it's not the negative zone. It's almost like looking into what ifs, because they talk about like, they're looking into it here, and there's like one where their powers were changed up and one where the communists beat them there. And they're like, well, we're going to have to go in there. And he explains how somebody came from another, not just another time, but another planet where the time isn't necessarily synced up to 1993. So even though it was his present, when he came into this, he ended up in their present. That's some Alan Moore psycho pseudoscience going on right there. But it's basically saying like Earth 2, and he's coming through. And when he comes through to Earth 1, he's in the 60s. And I don't know if it keeps going up. Like, I guess because they call it Earth squared and Earth cubed. So maybe Earth cubed would have been another like 30 times 3, 90 years in the future. Anyway, and so it shows like what she encountered earlier was actually this like almost like a phantom projection of him going backwards. That's why it looked like the smoke or the neon actually healed him, when really it was she was perceiving it backwards. And there they discovered that like he could have existed in 2 places at the same time. Didn't make a whole lot of sense, but it was, made the plot drive forward. They realize Kid Dynamo's missing, and they're like, well, we're going to have to go after him. And the only way to do that is to step into the maybe machine. And you get a cool Kirby collage type thing going on there. So super fun. We get a letters page with fake letters, and they do talk about, I did read most of these. They do have this first one is dogging on the Neon Queen, and how, they think she's useless, and they take up for her in the response. And then down here, there's like another one by who they say is a female reader that loves her and, talks about her relationship and stuff. It wraps up with some pinups in that classic Silver Age style. Neon Queen, Kid Dynamo, and The Planet.
That looks funny.
And then another fake ad.
Wow. What is that thing? That thing.
That's a character in this book.
Named what?
The Planet.
Is it an alien?
No, he's kind of like old Benji.
It looks funny.
I bet you're shaking the table.
That's cool how it says planet right there.
Mm-hmm. Another fake ad by Alan Moore doing something funny here. The future will be, there will be stores that sell nothing but comic books. So is this an ad for like a real thing? And they just did it like this? I don't know. I didn't look that up, but man, there's like real phone numbers here and addresses. So I don't know. And then this kind of layout, if you're familiar with Silver Age books, I'm sure you've seen that before. Shamed by you English? You can speak soon and write like a graduate college if me let you help for a day of 15 minutes. So, little gag there at the end. This was a cool series. It lasted 5 issues. It was supposed to have an annual. Falling out with Alan Moore and some of the other creators, put it in limbo. I think Jim Lee was even supposed to illustrate at least some of the annual. And unfortunately, it's one of those kind of unfinished works that, in a way. There's not really like a through line story. At least I don't recall that there is. I'm going to do more and I'll get back to you. But I don't think there was necessarily a through line story going on. It was more or less meant to just be a fun experiment and like love letter to early Marvel. And it fell through and it never got collected or anything. Now recently, Don Simpson did just put this out. I got it just a few days ago. It's from Fantagraphics, and this is what he said would have been the annual. Or his version of it. Now this is a little thicker and it is in black and white, and he doesn't use exactly all of the characters from the 1963 books. He kind of uses a lot of his books from the Megaton Man series, but this is what he says, the 1963 When Else annual. So this is what he says would have been, or I guess his idea of what the annual should have been. That never happened, mostly due to Alan Moore. This just came out. This is available. Should be able to still get it at your local comic shop. If not, I'll put a link in the description of where you can pick this up. But that's all I got today for Mystery Incorporated. And as always, read your comics.